Hi, it's time for another verb of the day. Today's verb is cherish. Let's take a look at some of the definitions or ways that we can use this verb. The first way you might hear the verb cherish used is to mean to protect, care for, or nurture someone in a very loving way. A second way you might hear the verb cherish used is to mean to hold something dear. Really, you can think of kind of loving, holding something very close to you in a metaphorical way, not literally, physically holding something close to you. A third way you might hear the verb cherish used is to mean to keep a hope or an ambition in one's mind. I'll note that this verb you might encounter more in literature than you do in everyday life, or if you're following news or reading those types of periodicals. I think this verb was far more common and used in the 1800s. And so again, if you're reading old literature from that time period, you might see it more often. You should know that cherish is a regular verb. To make the progressive tense, all you would need to do is add ing to form cherishing. The past tense and participle form of this verb are made by adding ed. The base verb, cherish, ends in this unvoiced sh or sh sound. So our ed is going to make a t sound. Cherished, cherished. You'll be happy to know I don't have any additional phrasal verbs for us to look at today, but we're going to spend a little time practicing this verb in a few different verb tenses. Today we'll look at the imperative and the present perfect. Let's start with the imperative. Sometimes this title or this description is a bit new for people, but you might know this as a command. It's unique in English because there is no stated subject. So we are telling someone to do a particular action. The subject here is implied. It is either you singular, so if you're just talking to one person and you start a sentence with a verb, you're telling that one person to do the particular action. But maybe you're talking to a larger group. And so the you can also be plural. So if you look at our affirmative example, here is a command where someone is telling someone else to do a particular action. Cherish your time with your mentors. And the imperative is a little different than giving advice, right? With advice, you're most commonly going to hear someone say should. You should cherish the time with your mentors. But if we're using the imperative, it's a little bit stronger. So I thought of this particular sentence, and it's something I have said to some close people recently after one of my many wonderful mentors passed away. So I want others to appreciate and value the time they have with theirs. Now, you can also make a negative imperative sentence. To do this, you're going to start with do not and then the base verb. Here's another example. Don't cherish your phone and social media more than in-person connections. I think this is a command that many older people feel like they give to younger folks, particularly teens, who might be really excited and sort of enthralled with that. I want to note, with an imperative, it could seem harsh, right? It could seem rather bossy, maybe, to tell someone what to do. So you can always soften it by using please. You could put the please at the beginning of a sentence or at the end, but you don't need it in both places. You can do this in affirmative sentences and negative ones as well. You'll see sort of a blacked out rectangle on my screen, and that's because there are no questions in the imperative form. So now let's move to the present perfect. We use this verb tense to talk about an action that started in the past and continues into the present. We also use it to describe an action that occurred at some point in the past, but we don't know when. Many times I call this the indefinite past tense. So we have no idea if it happened an hour ago or 15 years ago in the past, and it just might not matter. To form the present perfect, you're going to use have and a participle, and that's when your subjects are I, you, we, or they, or you'll use has and then the participle when your subjects are he, she, or it. Let's look at an example sentence. I have cherished the time we have spent together. Okay, so this feeling of appreciation has continued from the past into the present. If you want to make a negative present perfect sentence, you need to insert not after have or has. And if you're comfortable using contractions, you can use haven't or hasn't. You'll see that in my example sentence. Some people haven't cherished all the extra time with family during the pandemic. Right? So at first, some people were sort of excited to be at home with their family. Many families stayed really busy with work and school and activities. So it at first might have felt nice to have some more special time together. But for many people, that kind of took a negative turn at some point and thought like, oh dear, we need to get out of the house more or we need some alone time. Finally, let's look at making a yes or no question in the present perfect. To do this, we're going to start with have or has, whichever one matches our subject that comes next. And then we're going to use the participle form of the verb. Has she cherished the weekly video calls with her grandchildren? Okay. Now, we're going to look at one related word with our verb, and it's the adjective cherished. You might be looking at this and thinking, hey, that's the past tense and the participle form of the verb, and you're absolutely right. So same spelling, same pronunciation. I just thought it was more common that you might hear this word also used in its adjective form. So when someone uses cherished as an adjective, they might mean that something is treasured, highly valued, or possibly even respected. So a couple different ways you might hear this, and we can see these slightly different meanings. What is your most cherished memory? So this could be that treasure meaning, could be the respected as well, versus the question, what's your most cherished possession? Possession would be an object, a thing. For some people, maybe it's a piece of jewelry, a photo, right? It's different for everyone. And that particular question, it could be treasured. It could also be asking for something that's highly valued. Thanks so much for watching today's video and my week's videos as I've talked about and used some verbs that have really been on my mind this week as I have dealt with the loss of a loved one. I hope you have a great day.